I hope you got a chance to try out some basic input-output redirection. We left off with looking at the cat-n command. That's extremely useful when you have a program that you want to print out. So if you have a program like, let's say mylist is a program, you can use cat-n, and then, for example, say something like this. Right, so all we've done is set cat-n and put the output of that, instead of putting it on this in this terminal, put it into a file. And so now we can cat numbered list and get a file with numbers alongside all the actual text. So you could do, this is kind of handy if you have a program and you have a bug and you want to find out, well, which line is it on? You want to read through it very carefully. Of course, once you put in numbers, the program's probably not going to work, but it's nice for formatting a list of things and putting numbers right next to it. Okay, it's kind of handy command. Let's move on. Let's take a look at how to create files using the cat command. And we actually did this already. We just did a small example. You just say cat space greater than, and then name of the file that you want to create. So for example, you can say cat space my first, and then hit enter, and you won't see anything, but it's waiting for you to type in text, and you can type in anything you want. To stop cat from taking things from the keyboard, you hit a Control D, and then that ends your typing. You get your bash prompt back. Let's try that. It's pretty straightforward. So cat space greater than some file name. All right, assuming that doesn't exist. And now you can just type in anything you want to go into this file. The thing about this is that once you create a single line, you cannot go back and edit that last line. You can only add stuff. So you can type in any kind of text you want. Okay, and then once you're done, here's what you need to do, Control D. So I press the Control key and then the D, and I'm done. Okay, you can also use Control C, but it's not safe. It's not safe to use Control C in this situation. It's much better to use Control D. Okay, so let's see if that file actually was created. You can use the cat command to list the contents of some file. So this is the file that we supposedly created. Let's see if it's there. Sure enough, there it is. You can use a cat-n to put line numbers. Okay, so this cat-n does not change the file. You can still list the file and notice that it does not have line numbers. The cat-n just displays line numbers alongside the actual file itself. Okay, it doesn't change, this cat-n does not change this file. If you wanted to save a numbered version of this file, all you have to do is say cat-n, name of the file, redirect the output to some other file. Okay, and now this some other file will have line numbers. I hope that's clear. Okay, so typically that's what we do. We say cat space this to quickly create a file. You can do the same thing with VI. It's just that sometimes you don't want to, and you just want to quickly list out a few things and then Control D to stop, and then you're done. Okay, if this file name, my first, does not exist in your current working directory. Cat creates it. If it already exists, then the cat overwrites that file, and the old contents of my first are lost. So keep that in mind. You can also use cat to append to a file. So for example, let's just to make sure we have, you know what we're doing. It's cat some file. It has a bunch of things we entered, and let's cat some other file, and that's basically the same thing with numbers. So let's see if this will, to make it clear, we will append things to some other file. Alright, so once we're done, we should see this same contents, these 7 lines, plus whatever we enter now. So this is entering. Oops. Okay, so I'm done. I hit Control D, and now I can list the contents. Okay, and sure enough, there are our 7 lines that we had before, plus the stuff that we appended using cat greater. Alright, so do you have to somehow memorize all of these different situations? No, you don't have to. All you need to know, all you need to keep in mind is that the greater always appends. If you say cat and then file name, just list the contents of that file. So use this, do this a few times with different files, and I think you will get a feel for how this works. So this is a good way to copy files, and there's actually a better command to copy files, and I'm guessing you've seen it already. It's the cp command, but you can use cat file name greater than the name of the file that you want to be the copy, myfirst.copy, and you create an exact copy of this file. Okay. So the better thing to do if you want to make copies is the cp command. This is much better because it's just easier to use. And there's a lot more features with the cp command. So cp, the only thing to remember is that you start with the source and then the copy goes next. So if you have, for example, if you have a file called report, you say cp, and then name of the file you want to copy, and then the name of the copy file. Report.copy, for example, will create an exact copy of this file called this other thing. So if you cannot have 2 files of the same name, of course. We talked about that before, and if you try to do that, let's see what will happen. So let's try the cp command if you haven't used it yet. So cp mylist, that's the source, and then the target mylist.copy. Alright, you do an ls. Here's mylist, and here's mylist.copy. You can list just these files. And notice that they have different modification times, but they're same size. They're both 204 characters long. Let's see what will happen if you do this. Oops, not that. Copy, and then copy it to exactly the same file. You won't be allowed to do it. It'll just copy will say, all right, wait a minute, you can't do that. You can't have a copy that's called exactly the same. Okay. Even if the copy command worked, it would be very confusing because you'd have two files with the same name in the same folder. That's not allowed. You can have two files with the same name but in different folders, sure. Let's just do that real quick. Remember, to make a folder, you say mkdir, and let's make a directory called A, and I can copy my list to a/my list. That is perfectly fine because now you're not going to have two files with the same name in the same place. So this is fine. You say lsa, and there it is. Okay. So try out this. Remember, you cannot make a copy of a file that's called exactly the same. You get an error message. This is slightly different from what we got, but it's the same idea. Okay, so here is a shortcut. You can, when you create a copy and put it into a folder, you don't actually have to say the name of the file. So we did, but just turns out you don't have to. So now let's remove that a/mylist. All right, and now you do an ls of this directory A. There's nothing in it. And let's do the same thing we did before. My list, copy that to the A folder. What that will do, this is a file, my list is a file, A is a directory, like sometimes say folder, but what I mean is directory. If you do that, what happens is you make a copy of this file inside this directory. So here's our A directory, ls A, and we get an exact copy of my list in the A directory. So all this is, you can do this, right? You can say copy this file into this directory and call it my list. But you can skip the name of the file if you're not going to change the file. If you're not going to change the name of the file, that is. Okay, so this is equivalent to this. Okay. You can have multiple destinations. So suppose you have files called names. I'm sorry, you can have multiple sources. Sorry, I misspoke. You can have multiple sources. Suppose you have files called names and scores under your current directory. So let's say you're here and you have two files and you want to copy both of them into a different directory. You can do that with the copy command. Copy first file you want to copy, second file you want to copy into this folder, and it copies both of them, both of these files into this destination folder. You cannot do the opposite. It'd be nice. There are situations where you would like to make multiple copies of the same file in different directories, but unfortunately you cannot do that with the cp command. It just does not work. You'll have to use separate cp commands. So let's say you want to copy this file names into user and to memos. You have to use different commands, separate commands to do that. So to summarize, you can take multiple sources and copy all of them into some other place, but you cannot take one source and copy that into many different places. Sometimes it is useful to be able to do stuff like that. Okay, so we will continue a little bit in the next video with more features or more options of the copy command. So in the meantime, try it out, try the copy command, and then we'll continue with more features.